Well, good afternoon everyone, and welcome on board with myself, Scott, and Phil is on camera with me this afternoon. You'll notice we've got off to a good start. A beautiful big bull giraffe who we were thankfully alerted by thanks to the Djuma waterhole camera, which runs 24 hours a day and really does provide us with some great intelligence as to what animals are moving around, and this is no different. He's just moving north away from the dam, and we're definitely going to spend some time with him to start off the drive. Brent has headed off in search of the two Styx lionesses that were seen this morning. James actually found them, and in a few minutes you will link across to Brent and see how his lion hunt is going. But for now, we're going to spend some time with the giraffe. It's a beautiful, warm afternoon here at Djuma. We are in a nature reserve called the Sabi Sands, and it's opened up to the Kruger National Park, a massive ecosystem, 3 million hectares, and we're very privileged to be driving around here on Djuma Private Game Reserve. Now, the giraffe has consistently been moving kind of north and east. He hasn't been doing much feeding until I think he may have just started now. But we're just going to get into position and then try and get you a few more close-up views of him. I think this might be our best spot for now. Not ideal. But a lot of the time we just have to be patient and wait for the animals to move out of the thicker vegetation in order to allow us some visuals on them. And I think there is a little gap where Phil will be able to show him to you. In terms of the temperature, it's about 26 degrees Celsius, and that's 78 degrees Fahrenheit. And you'll notice it's a windy day here, and the bushes are all blowing and rustling due to this quite strong wind. It could well die down later on in the evening. And what we can expect from this windy weather is the herbivores to be a little bit more nervous. When it is very windy, their hearing is muffled by all the dry grass and leaves blowing in the wind, and they are nervous because of the fact that they will not be sure if predators are actually creeping up to them or if it's merely the leaves blowing in the wind. Let's just wait a moment or two. He's hopefully going to pop out into a fairly large clearing shortly, and then we'll have some great views. And for those of you who are new to the show, a very, very warm welcome. I am just going to reposition ever so slightly.
Hang on a second.
For those of you who are joining for the first time, it's important to know that this is a live safari. It's happening this very second. Not only is it live, but it's also interactive. So please send us through questions. And to do so, you would hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. Now, another reminder, I have spoken about Byron, who is another guide who's coming up for an interview. He has arrived and he's spending some time in the final control room for the start of this afternoon, and then he'll be jumping on board with Phil and myself, and he will be conducting both the sunrise and the sunset safaris tomorrow. So Don't be surprised to see a new face on screen tomorrow. And we all know Byron very well. He's a very experienced guide, and I'm sure you're all going to enjoy his styles and techniques of guiding. And I'm also sure that you'll all send him through lots of questions and give him a very, very warm welcome. It's interesting how he's only nibbling on a few leaves off each bush that he passes by. He's not really spending much time at any given one. And that's not uncommon, because the plants do have defense mechanisms where they can make their leaves more bitter when they know they're under attack. I don't think that's the case here, because he's literally just taking 1 or 2 mouthfuls from each plant. But it's even believed that the acacia family has the ability to communicate to other plants and send out this warning before they've even been fed on. So that's a really interesting theory. Well, the giraffe is now heading into a very thick riverbed, so I'm not convinced we're going to be able to stay with him, but let's just loop ahead to one more little spot and see if he doesn't decide to pop out there. And if we don't have any luck with the giraffe again, I'm sure all of you would like to know how Brent's coming along with the search for those 2 lionesses. So it won't be long until you link across to him. And Andrew? Oh, it's not looking promising. So rather than forcing the issue, why don't you head across to Brent's vehicle and we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome on safari, everyone, on the Sunset Safari. I'm Brent, and Andrew's on camera, and you can see at the moment he's focused in on a buffalo pat. And we're down near the waterhole. The buffaloes are not here, so we've decided to start with the only part of the buffalo, or the leavings of a buffalo. But if we come out a little bit wide, a little bit wider, Andrew, a little bit wider, and what's that? We've managed to find those 2 lionesses that James found this morning. They've moved out of the drainage and they're lying right up next to twin dams at the moment, but very flat cats. They did get up and move just now, so they are hungry. And this is now one of those conundrums we face as guides. Is do we sit and wait 3 hours with the lions in the hope that they move? So we'll see, and we'll gauge it as it goes. They are very hungry. The wind is quite strong, and there is a possibility that something might come to them. I mean, we had that wonderful sighting of the zenyatta here this morning, drinking, and then not even 10 minutes later, the lions arrived in the same place. So there's always a possibility for something happening, and there's lots of different interesting stuff around we can talk about, except the lions, as well as the lions, of course. But so they're very, very lazy at the moment. And as far as I know, you guys identified them as the Styx lionesses. I'm not 100% sure at the moment. I can't see any suckle marks on either of them. And we'll wait to see when that one lies down flat again. But it is a good spot. There's a lot of game, especially as in a warm afternoon like this, that might come down here. So they're actually quite well positioned. So the water's behind us, and they've got this very thick spike thorn thicket that they're sleeping behind. So it'd be very easy. Oh, there we go, Andrew. Be very easy for something to wander up. I mean, monkeys, who are one of the best spotters of predators in the bush, have just walking up. They might even come down for a drink. Oh, there we go. You can see them hopping through the trees there. And they're one of the best spotters of predators, and they have not spotted them yet. So this is quite a good spot for them. If the monkeys keep coming around for a drink, they might spot them. But it is a good spot, being hungry. Hi, Lynn, and welcome on the Sunset Safari. Lynn is wondering which waterhole we're at. We are at the Twin Pans waterhole. There, a nice view of the bottom of a lion's foot, the pad, and that's the mark we follow tracking. As you can see, definitely no suckle marks on that individual. It's an incredibly still afternoon, almost no bird sounds, just quite a gusty wind. And lions doing what lions do best, sleeping. So back to that buffalo dung. It's unlikely that two lionesses like this would actually take on an adult buffalo. Might be, it's not impossible, but it's improbable. They would probably be looking for a smaller antelope, so pala or kudu, warthog, all which are quite frequently seen in this area. And we've actually noticed as we arrive that and we've seen warthog in this area quite a lot, a very, very well-used warthog rubbing post. But I think we'll go to that second. If we can go down to the wallow on the edge of the water first. So what will happen is that a warthog would come meandering down here, and they would head to the mud. You can actually zoom in there. Sorry, my parking, but so we're going to zoom in now, and you can see how the animals have utilized that wallow, and they wallow in the mud a little bit. There we go, a little bit further down. That's probably a nice little warthog wallow there. So they come down, have a good roll in the mud, and move away from the mud. And now think about all the ectoparasites like ticks and mites and things that would get caught up in that mud, and then they would move through to a nice spot to rub. And there's this leadwood, piece of leadwood here, and you can see this is a well-utilized little warthog rubbing post. And you can see the mud and caked off there, so the warthogs would come then rub on there to get rid of the ectoparasites. Hi, Jilly from Milwaukee. Welcome on Sunset Safari. Jilly would like to know if I know how the Styx Pride got their name and why they're called the Styx lionesses. Well, Jilly, that's actually a very interesting question. I'm not 100% sure. The original Styx Pride from a long time ago, when I was working further south in the Sabi Sands, was mainly on a property called Mala Mala, and It's possible they could be named after a road or whatnot on that property where they were seen frequently, but I'm not 100% sure how they got the name Styx Pride. Maybe you guys out there can help me. I know you guys follow the lives of these lions very closely, so maybe you guys could help me. Does anyone out there know how the Styx Pride became the Styx Pride? You send your answers to questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. So if you are a new viewer or you've just logged in, quick little update. We are playing the patience game with 2 Styx lionesses next to twin dams or twin pans. They are quite hungry, but at the moment it's nice and hot and they're lying up in the shade in quite a good spot in case something happened to come try a drink at the waterhole. They might have a chance to make an easy kill. Also, we are live, so you are seeing these lions in real time with us. You're seeing lions in Africa at the same time as me. You've all joined me for a safari. You're sitting on the back of my vehicle. We're out here in Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, part of the Greater Kruger National Park, a massive unfenced wilderness where the animals still roam free. We also are interactive. So as I was just saying, just asking a question, you can send questions to us as well. And you can ask me about what we're seeing on Game Drive, or if there's anything you've been wondering about the bush, it is possible to ask us those questions. And you can do that by emailing questions@wildearth.tv or using the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Hi, Hope, and welcome on Sunset Safari with us, Hope. Hope is wondering whether the windy day helps the predators or the prey more. Definitely the predators, Hope. It is a very, very difficult, especially with a wind like this that's not constant, gusting, and it changes direction quite frequently. It is far more beneficial for the predators. It makes it more difficult for the prey species to smell and detect where the predators are coming from. It also masks a lot of the small sounds that on a very still day the prey would be able to pick up on. So it is more beneficial for the predators. So we're going to stay here with the sleeping kitty cats. Hopefully there will be some movement a little bit later. But I hear Scotty is checking around the other water holes in the area. So we're going to cross across to Scott and we'll be back with you a little later.
Welcome back, everyone, and we have come up to the northeastern corner of Djuma here at Buffelshoek Dam, and we were surprised because there's not only one hippo, the one that you can see in shot now in the center of the dam. Oh, hello. But also another one, so that's a change from the hippo population that we've been experiencing here for the last few weeks. There's only been one bull spending time at this waterhole, but now there are two. I think it's the second one is also a bull, but we only had a brief glimpse before it disappeared under the water, and it will be interesting to see if they are two bulls, if they don't have any problems with one another, because seeing hippos confront one another can be a really, really interesting clash to behold. They're hugely powerful animals, and it's not something we see very often. But at this time of year, as water sources dry up and places for them to relax during the day become fewer and fewer, you do find that they can often become a lot more agitated with one another. It doesn't seem the case now, but as you saw, the one hippo that we have seen so far opened his mouth and did a big dominance display and size display, showing us how big and mean he is. And I think that could have been because of us, but possibly also because there is another hippo in the water that may have got its temper a little bit riled up. Surprisingly, there's no buffalo here today. And as soon as I arrived and saw that there were no buffalo, I immediately thought, I wonder if the two male lions that were moving through Djuma last night had possibly made it to here. We only know that they were moving through Djuma because of tracks that I found of them this morning. I was out trying to help find animals for James and Brent, unsuccessfully, but did find those tracks, and they actually passed straight over the dam wall last night, but went undetected by the Zumi, which is understandable, because if they do just walk straight over the dam wall, if there's action elsewhere, there's no ways you could expect the Zumi to telepathically know that the lion were there. So I am interested to see. I mean, there's not to say that there isn't a predator nearby hiding in any of the shady areas surrounding the dam, and we will certainly begin to search around and snoop about here after we've had a closer look at these hippos. It's interesting, the second hippo is quite close to us, but it's been under the water for about 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes by now, and they can hold their breath for up to 5 minutes if need be. So it's still got a little bit of oxygen reserves that it could rely on, but it should pop up at any point in time. And when it does, then we'll be able to take a closer look and see. Oh, it just poked its nostrils up there. There we can see them. It's obviously a shy hippo, as all you can see are his little nostrils taking in some air, and there it goes. There's a family of Inyala that look like they would like to approach the waterhole to drink, which would be absolutely awesome. They're just off to our right, and Phil's taking you across to them now. I've just seen them, and they are coming down to the waterhole, and with the afternoon sunlight behind us, we should have a great view of them. But in this windy weather, like I said earlier, the herbivores will be very cautious, because every little leaf and grass that they hear rustle from the wind is going to alert them to what they think could potentially be a predator creeping up on them. And that, coupled with the fact that they are approaching a waterhole where they know they could be ambushed, will mean that we could almost safely assume that they are going to be quite nervous. At the moment, they sadly are not actually, or no longer heading towards the waterhole. They are running parallel to it, but they could change course. Oh, well, very interesting update that I just received from Brent. When he was here this morning, he said that there was only one hippopotamus in the dam. And I'm not saying he's wrong, but just judging by how shy the second hippo is, it may have been that it was underwater, hiding from Brent, or it may well have arrived after Brent was here. In the dry months of the year, which is now as we go deeper into the winter, the herbivores will have less and less food. So for an animal like a hippo, they will spend longer feeding after dark and sometimes into the early hours of the morning in order to obtain their 40-odd kilograms of grass that they're required to eat every night. Now, for those of you who aren't aware of the kilogram scale, it's about 80 pounds of grass, so it's a massive salad. And isn't it interesting how such a huge animal like this can feed only on grass? You'll notice there's not very many birds calling yet, and it's very still afternoon other than the wind, and that's not uncommon as it's still quite warm now, and as things cool down I'm sure we'll notice the sounds of the bush coming to life, and it's always a wonderful transition from silence to the evening chorus. Well, good afternoon, Jilly in Wisconsin, and thanks so much for sending your question through. Jilly would like to know if the landowners here in the Sabi Sands will pump water into any of the water holes if they dry up during the winter, and yes, they will. There are certain water holes that can be pumped into, and it is something that landowners will do. So the animals here in the Sabi Sands are fortunate in that they will never be too far away from water, but in the same breath they will certainly not have access to nearly as much as in the summer, where even little puddles and mud wallows fill up with water and provide various points for animals to drink all over the reserve. And Lisa sent through a question on Twitter, and if any of you would also like to send through questions on Twitter, it's really easy. You just hashtag Safari Live. Lisa would like to know if the animals will move off if the water holes do dry out. And yes, to a degree, certain animals that are heavily water dependent will maybe have to move into different areas, but the predators we find will probably stay put, even though they may have less prey. They typically will stay within their territories. But it all depends on how dry it gets, Lisa. So it's something that we can only wait and see. We've already noticed a fair change in animal dynamics and populations since the summer months, when there was a lot more water and food around. That's not to say that a lot of the animals that have moved off won't come back later in the winter, but I don't think it will have a huge effect on the numbers we are seeing. Phil's just found a really pretty bird that's glowing in the afternoon sunlight. It's called a Burchell's starling, and it's the largest of the starlings that we get out here. And yesterday morning, James and myself had an awesome sighting of them feeding on harvested termites at the Arathusa airstrip. Good afternoon, Cecilia, and thanks again for sending your question through. Cecilia would like to know if hippos can swim, and that's a great question, Cecilia. The majority of the time that you see hippos in the water, they're actually standing, so they don't float and are no different to us as humans. So they do rely on swimming to a degree through deeper water, but often they'll run along the bottom of the dam or river or waterhole where they are and then push off, and by pushing off they will have enough momentum to reach up to the surface and then slowly sink back down again. So they are semi-buoyant, just like us, and if we were to kick off the bottom of a swimming pool, it would provide us with enough momentum to reach the surface before eventually sinking back down if we weren't to swim. You often see young hippos resting their chins on their mother's back to stay afloat, because they understandably are a little bit shorter than their parents, so where their parents may be standing, they cannot. Welcome on board, Emily. And Emily is all the way in South Carolina. Emily would like to know if hippos will change their ponds or waterholes or rivers, or will they move around quite a lot? It really does depend on the specific pod of hippos and the area where you may be viewing them. But if we take this specific waterhole, for example, there was periods in summer when there was about 15 hippos spending time here, and over the months those numbers have tended to drop as we've arrived into the winter, and over the last few weeks there's been one individual that's been here almost permanently, but now a second one's just arrived, so it's fairly constant, but they will change waterholes, and I think they'll begin to change a lot more as it does become drier and deep enough waterholes become less common, as well as food becoming harder to find. That will cause them to move around a little bit more, but it will depend on the specific pod of hippos and the pond that they're living in. So it's a tricky one to answer, but we have certainly noticed a lot of changes in hippo numbers in this specific waterhole over the last 7 months or so of broadcasting that we've been doing from here. Well, a huge thanks to Deb, who sent us through an update regarding the Djuma waterhole cam that I spoke about briefly as the safari started this afternoon. And Deb saw some elephants passing by just a few moments ago. So thanks so much for that update. We're a little bit too far from here to head into that area, but it's certainly going to be useful information for us, because potentially later on when we are in that area we'll know that elephants aren't too far from us. Well, I think it's time to possibly leave these hippos, because there's not too much else going on here. I was hoping the Nyala were going to come down and drink. I can still see them lurking in the shadows, but no luck there. So let's go out and see what else we can find. Some really interesting news about Kunyuma, who's a young male leopard that we've got to view for hours and hours over the last few months. Him and his brother Quarantine have provided us with the bulk of our leopard sightings, and we haven't seen them very recently. They've been lurking around, we've seen their tracks but just haven't been able to find them. But they are spending less time on Djuma and more time elsewhere, and they are just over 2.5 years old now, so they've almost overstayed their welcome in their mother's and their father's territory, and now they are getting pushed out. We're not sure whether it's Mvula, their father, that's putting pressure on them. In all likelihood it is, but there could also be other male leopards that are also not wanting any of these youngsters to be lurking in their territories, so we're not seeing them as much as we used to. Aubrey, however, managed to get a glimpse of him last night, and he noticed some blood running down to his stomach. it wasn't gushing with blood, but just a little bit of blood. And then this morning he was to the east of us on Torchwood, and Aubrey also saw him then, and it looks like scratches on his back. Had an altercation with, in all likelihood, another leopard, possibly even his father. So some interesting dynamics. Hopefully we'll get to see him and see how serious these injuries are. Like I said, doesn't sound serious, but it is a reality, and young male leopards as well as young male lions will come across a very difficult stage of their life when they are required to move out of their family territory or their mother's territory. It's important that they do move out of their mother's territory and try and go far away in order to ensure that there's good genetic variance of leopards getting spread through this ecosystem as opposed to all inbreeding in one small area. So it's Mother Nature's plan and nothing that we should be concerned about, but I thought I'd all let you know. I think the last time that we saw either of them was with Peter Pretorius and Hayden Turner, which was around the 9th and 10th of last month. So it's been over a month that since we've seen them. I'm fairly certain we are going to get to see a bit more of them. So I don't think they're gone for good. It's just that we haven't been lucky finding them. But for those of you who are a little bit more experienced viewers who've been following us for a while, you'll know that it's difficult to find these animals, and for the newcomers, you'll soon begin to learn that leopards are masters of disappearing. And in this massive place that we do get to explore, the roads can only take us to so many areas, and there's a lot of impenetrable areas with thick bush or no road access where the animals could be camped out for days without us knowing. I think it's about time that you went over to Brent and check up on him, make sure he's not misbehaving there with the 2 Styx lioness, and we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, guys. As I was saying earlier, you can have a look there. Some Inyala have come through out of the edge of the thickets. They're not moving towards the lions, and the lions were a bit dozy, and they didn't see them either. But as I'm saying, the lions might actually catch them. The Inyala are still coming through, but it is going to be interesting. That's why I said it's worth staying here. Hot day like it is today. We've got Inyala coming down. This time they just happened to come down a little bit further away, but there's nothing to stop them coming down in this area really close to the lions. So as you can see just off my front, there's the Inyala. They might work their way down onto the edge of the drainage line and across, which would take them in sight of the lions. They are looking like they might come down to drink at this top corner, which would definitely be in sight of the lions. It might not work in the lions' favor if they come from that direction, because it is quite open there, and they would literally have to almost stumble upon the lions. I got a feeling that Inyala might spot these cats before it gets to sort of crunch time. As you can see, the lions are very much aware and awake. If we're coming across to them now, definitely paying attention to their surroundings at the moment. But see, this is where that wind will definitely aid the lions, because I don't think the Inyala would have smelt them. The wind is mostly coming from the Inyala to the lions, and it'll be interesting to see if the lions hear the Inyala walking with the wind coming that way. But it does work both ways, that sometimes that the wind will mask the sound of the prey species. But in general, it does help the predators more than the prey. We can't see where the Nyala have gone now, so we're just going to stand by here. We've got ourselves in a really good position where we can see a nice big vista. So if anything comes down here, we should know about it before the lions do. Guys, you see what's happening here? The monkeys have come down to drink. The monkeys haven't even spotted the lions yet. It's going to be interesting if one of these lionesses move or suddenly one of the monkeys picks up on that ear flick. I think we're going to have a lot of noise from the monkeys. And it's not inconceivable that the monkeys might just move towards us here. I've seen them playing on this open grass before, and the fact that the monkeys are around will definitely put the Nyala at ease, because monkeys are generally really good at spotting predators. There's a little one coming down to drink in the corner. So this is probably the last animal that the lions would want to be spotted by. Oh, so the Nyala actually coming almost to that exact spot where the monkeys drank. The Nyala coming through this gap over here. The monkeys being here could definitely work in the Nyala's favor, because if those lions move when they spot the Nyala, the monkeys are just gonna go ballistic. But this is quite a nice scene playing out here. So very exciting times. Fingers crossed. Depends whose team you're on, the Nyalas or the Lions. It's a big group of Nyala as well. So at the moment, they're probably 60, 70 meters from the lions. The monkeys haven't seen the lions. The Nyala haven't seen the lions. And the lions haven't seen the monkeys or the Nyala. It's a pity the lionesses are facing the wrong way. But see, here's the wind playing in favor of the prey species. I think one of the monkeys might have just spotted the Nyala. They're not, the lions. I'm not 100% sure. One keeps standing up and trying to look in this general direction. Oh, yeah, I think someone spotted them. There's been a call issued. The monkeys have scattered, but they haven't started alarming, so I think they're playing just on the safe side. And there we go. There's the Nyala behind the lions. So in a situation like this now, we were not going to start our car, we're not going to move. The Nyala are used to vehicles and used to us talking, and so are the lions. But I think, so they're going to completely ignore us. That one Nyala, I thought she might have spotted that ear flick from the lion. But the monkeys have definitely made the Inyala feel more secure. Just going to sit quietly now and see what happens. Imagine if the Inyala managed to drink. Oh, just watch their ear twitches. I think they've picked up the movement, but they're not sure what it is. Remember, animals' eyes work differently to us. And because the lions are lying flat, they're not 100% sure what it is, but they've definitely looks like they've noticed it. Sorry guys, I'm going to get on the Game Drive channel for a second. R2-D2 is beeping away. Go ahead, Andrew. FM, Andrew, but just come very slowly. There's some Inyala coming down towards the dam. I think come from the western side. Now, how amazing is that? The lions haven't even noticed that there is a whole smorgasbord less than 40 meters from them. See. Sorry, my long legs bumped my case. Oh, there's a little bit of movement on the lioness, and she still hasn't. Let's see if someone figures out that there's actually a whole group. Oh, hello. There we go. They spotted. As soon as that lion lifted its head, that ear shape would have come very apparent, and that's that. Now the monkeys will still be quite confused because they ran off a bit earlier. But as soon as that lioness lifted her head, the game was up. They recognized that spot. So I think for the lions to have been successful, then those Inyala would nearly have had to walk on top of them. And for hungry lions, I think they must be feeling a bit sheepish right now. They're just trying to pretend, just sleep it off. Didn't happen. It was a dream. We dreamt that Inyala came right next to us. Hi, Pamela. Welcome on the Sunset Safari, Pamela. Pamela's question is, would a lion eat a monkey? Most definitely if you catch it. All predators are opportunists, and if they get any chance, they will. Oh, no movement there, just sleeping lions. But they definitely would if they got the opportunity to, Pamela. Sorry guys, I just have to chat to Andrew for a second quickly as he arrives here. How's it, Andrew?
How are you doing, man?
How are you guys doing? How's everyone doing?
Wonderful. Thanks for these.
No problem. They didn't even see the Inyala.
Is it?
The Inyala were drinking, and then the one lioness put up her head, and then pop, gone. Sleeping lions. Silly things.
Well, next time.
Next time. Did anyone find any matimbas this morning in the east?
We're talking about some dollars but I just forget which area is that.
Because we had tracks of 2 males quarantined, but I think they went north following the Nkomas this morning.
Well, that can be really. I know they were making a lot of noises last night.
Moving around.
Yeah, it's a lot of noise. Between Chipachito and us.
Okay.
Yeah. And that makes sense.
Perfect. Yeah. Thanks, Andrew. Sorry, guys, I'm back with you now. And we're still sitting here with the Styx lionesses. managed to not see a whole group of Inyala coming. Hi, Susan. Welcome on the Sunset Safari, Susan. Susan would like to know about what's happening with all the pride dynamics at the moment. Said we're following the Nkahumas last night, and then there was a big pride of lions in front of Arethusa on the waterhole cam, and then now we have 2 Styx lionesses. And where are the Nkahumas, and who were the other lions that were in front of Arethusa last night? Well, Susan, lion pride boundaries are not sort of set in stone. They're not a fence, and they can be quite porous. So there is a little bit of overlap on pride with the prides. The Nkahumas have gone quite far north of here. They were up near our northern boundary. We're on our southern boundary. I have seen the Nkahumas at Twin Dams before, but that was a while ago. They don't normally spend too much time in this area. But the Styx do come through from the south into this area. And as far as I know, the pride was the... Let me just turn off R2D2 for a second there. Sorry about that. And then I think the other pride apparently was the Tsalala Breakaway Pride or the Tsalala Pride. I'm not 100% sure. If there was a tailless lioness in that pride, it was the Tsalala Pride. If there wasn't, it was possibly the Tsalala Breakaway Pride. Hi, Julia from Houston. Welcome on the Sunset Safari, Julia. Julia would like to know, is one of these lionesses the one with cubs? I think it might be. I'm not sure. I couldn't see any suckle marks, but she I didn't see heavy lactating, but I haven't had a chance to look at both lionesses properly. But if this is the Styx, then yes, one of these lionesses has 3 cubs, which is currently keeping in the drainage line behind them, but further south of our Traverse area. So hope that helps sort that out for you, Julia. Hi, Emily. Thanks again for another question. Emily from South Carolina. Emily would like to know, is it usual for lions to ignore prey so close to them? Yes, it happens quite often, Emily. In this situation, the lions were not in the position. They were unaware of the animals coming. They would have given away their position, and there would never have been a chance to hunt. So in that sort of situation, they almost need something to stumble onto them. And as you can see, those Inyala were really alert, and they're always animals are very alert when they come down to the waterhole. It is a moment of sort of, not weakness, but what's the right word I'm looking for here? Vulnerability. So when they come down to drink, they are quite vulnerable. So they are on hyper senses when they're around a waterhole. So you'll watch those ears constantly going, listening. They'll be using their smell and their sight. But it is common for lions to actually ignore. And as soon as they've been spotted like that, and you heard those Nyala go, boom! That's it, the game's up. The lions won't even try hunt them once they've been spotted. So I think also you've noticed a lot of the lions we've been seeing at the moment are quite hungry, and that's more than likely because of the full moon at the moment and a very bright moon. It is more difficult for the predators to hunt during that time, as the other prey species have far better vision at night when the moon is bright. But we're going to stay here with these sleeping cats, and hopefully something else comes along to the waterhole and hopefully is a bit closer, or hopefully the lion's a little bit more awake this time. In the meantime, we're going to cross across to Scotty, see what he's been up to, and we'll be back with you a little bit later on the Sunset Safari.
Welcome back, everyone. And myself and Phil have been following some female leopard tracks. They're not very fresh though, they don't appear to be very fresh, probably from early last night, but they've been heading from our eastern boundary right into the center of Djuma, which is great news. And I'm hoping that maybe later she'll pop up at the Djuma waterhole, so it's definitely worth keeping an eye on that. And let's see, it's going to be tricky. There's a vulture flying over the horizon there, and it's going to be tricky for Phil to get it because it's just in the way of the leaves. No, it's going to be impossible. But there was a vulture flying very low just over the trees that you may have just been able to make out. And we've lost those tracks of that leopard. She veered off the road, I think in a southerly direction. So I'm taking this road now in the hope that she may bump out here. It could well be Karula, the dominant female who resides here on Djuma. But there has been quite a lot of change in leopard territories, and we've been noticing some shifts over the last few months. So it could be somebody else. A few more vultures. These are much higher up, and Phil will definitely be able to get them. They are just floating up there. Beautiful. There will come a point where you may not be able to film them anymore because the tripod can only pivot so far. The individual you're looking at is a hooded vulture, which is the smallest of the vultures we get in this area. And I wonder what they know. There's also a white-backed vulture, but it's in a spot that's going to be impossible for Phil to get to. So two different species, and how awesome is this? Them just floating, and Phil's reached his capacity there. But as they fly past, they may possibly pop into another area where you can get them. There we go. And imagine how wonderful it would be to effortlessly float all the way up there, looking down on this beautiful scenery that we are driving through. And they're simply riding the hot air thermals that are rising up off the earth, allowing them to not even flap a beat. Oh, there's another. This is the white back now that's popped up a bit closer, and I wonder what they know, because there was another vulture that we just saw heading down into this area. Now these two appear to be coming down to investigate closer, so there may be a kill of some sort, and we're certainly going to try and explore closer and see what it is that these vultures are now swooping down for. Okay, I think we need to head further down Vulture's Nest towards the Mulwati drainage, which is the main drainage line that runs through our property, and that will take us closer to where these vultures appear to be landing. So this is really exciting stuff. It could be a false alarm, but the fact that we've seen 3 vultures all heading into the same area is really good prospects. Okay, what will happen next? Phil seems to think he's seen a few more coming down to land, so this is really good. Who knows, maybe the 2 big male lions whose tracks came through the property earlier last night have managed to catch something large. And it's often large kills that, not only large kills, but often large kills that the vultures will seek out for a few reasons. It's easier to see a big kill in this thick bush, but it also means there's more likelihood of them getting some scraps. So we found the vultures where they've landed, and we'll be able to see them silhouetted in that dead knobthorn tree. There's just 2 that we can see for now, and the tricky thing is with vultures, they prefer to land in dead trees, so even though there may be a kill, it's not necessarily under that tree. This is the one of few dead trees in this area that they'd prefer to land in. The fact that there's a hooded on the top left, which is much smaller, you'll notice its beak is much less robust and bulky compared to the white-backed vulture sitting on the right-hand side. I wonder what they know. I'm just going to drive a little bit further around the road. We'll take us slightly closer to them, and that way we'll also be able to listen a little bit better. The third vulture that we saw flying very low into this area could potentially have been what attracted these 2 vultures into the area. Vultures can see other vultures from about 5 kilometers away, so that gives you an idea of how good their eyesight is. That's about 3 miles, and these 2 vultures may have been high up in the sky and seen that other vulture flying in low to the area and have thought, well, why is this vulture flying low? What does it know? And then they may have come in to investigate. So I'm guessing that's what's happened. I'm just going to drive in and do a loop around this dead tree and see if we don't come up with anything. Failing a quick drive around, I might take a walk. Because it's certainly easier to walk through this thick bush than to drive, and already I've come up to a dead end. try and find a way in, and failing that, I'll need to hop off the vehicle and take a walk. But I'd really love you all to be involved in this search with me. So I'm going to do everything in my power to take you along. Sadly, as soon as I jump off the vehicle, you'll all be left behind here. This pathway has taken us too close to the tree, and now the hooded vulture has flown off. But this will be a good test in itself, because if it comes back and lands, it might be a good indicator for us that there is in fact something here. So I'm just going to wait here for a second. It's flying off into the sun, and if it comes back and lands, that, like I say, will be a good indicator that it feels it's worth sticking around here, and that will mean to us that there could well be some food. But it appears to have continued off quite far. I didn't see where it landed, but there's no sign of it coming back. How beautiful is this silhouette? Awesome. Hello Lisa, and thanks for sending your question through. Lisa would like to know if vultures' numbers have declined in this area. And no, not that I'm aware of, Lisa, not that I've noted. The Sabi Sands doesn't have huge vulture numbers. I have noticed finding more in the Kruger and various other parts of the Kruger National Park. But in general, thankfully, vultures' numbers are increasing, and the reason for that is because farmers and people who used to kill vultures are becoming a lot more conservation orientated, and there's a huge drive for conservation in South Africa, so that has certainly helped increase their numbers that were dropping quite considerably when farmers would poison them, sometimes indirectly trying to poison other vermin, other meat-eating animals, and the vultures would catch the brunt of it. And there's also vulture feeding restaurants where vultures are actually fed by humans, old carcasses that do provide vultures with food outside of nature reserves. The thing with vultures is that they often nest in very specific areas, on cliffs or areas like that, that may not be in nature reserves. So they have to travel huge distances from their nesting sites to nature reserves, and that obviously makes life difficult for them. So a few vulture feeding restaurants dotted around the country have also helped that. It'll be interesting to see what Brent says about that. Like I say, I haven't noticed an increase or a decrease in vulture numbers, and so much depends on individuals' luck, and huge research would be needed to be performed in order to know for sure. My sightings in 4.5 years of spending time in the Sabi Sands will vary greatly from another guide who's even guided at that same period of time as me, but in a slightly different area. Well, I think we're going to link across to Brent and see what those lionesses are up to. I'm sure they're probably still fast asleep, but you never know, some more nyala could come down to drink. And that sounded really exciting. Great prospects for those lionesses that they sadly missed, but good news for the Inyala. And I'm going to go for a quick walk into this area, see, just double check, make sure there is nothing here, and I'll be back with an update in a few minutes.
Welcome Welcome back, guys. We're still sitting with the two lazy lions. They haven't moved at all, but neither have we. So we might, while you're here now, go drive around so we can have a look at a different angle of sleeping lions. I'm still reluctant to leave this area. It's getting nice time of the day now. There is still a possibility that some animals like those in Nyala might happen upon the dam, but in a more favorable position for the lions. So fingers crossed. We're gonna scoot around, and I think I saw some birds down at the dam we can also have a look at. Lazy kitties. Left.
Yeah, it is in Ghana. No, I'm not working going there and I'll come out the hoodie there.
Here we go. Oh. I love those little head bobs. So who can tell me what bird that is? Well, he's giving you some nice screenshots there, I'm sure, with a reflection. So, what bird is this? And you send your answers to questions at wildearth.tv or use the hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. But other than that, it is very, very quiet around here. I don't know if you guys can hear when R2-D2 decides to keep quiet. We're just going to listen for a second, and you can hear there's almost no bird noise except for that grey go-away bird who's about to have a drink. So we're going to keep quiet for a few seconds. You'll hear how still it is out here this afternoon. It's amazing, it's so quiet, yet we know this area is so full of life. But at the moment, it seems like everything's having their afternoon siesta. Off goes the go-away bird.
Yeah, I think they're going to be there. But let me go check.
Hi, Hilma from the Netherlands. Welcome on Sunset Safari. Hilma would like to know how old these particular lions are. So Hilma, I'm not actually 100% sure. They are adults. I guess they're probably around 5 or 6 years old, or between 4 and 7 to be safe. Maybe one of you guys out there who's been watching them regularly for a long time can let me know how old the Styx, these two Styx lionesses are, and you can send your answers to questions at wildearth.tv or use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. going to move to try and get that little branch off her face. Hi, Gert from the Netherlands. Oh, Netherlands well represented on Drive this afternoon. Gert would like to know how many prides there are in the area, and he knows of a coalition of male lions called the Mapocho, who dominated most of the north and central Sabi Sands at a period of time, and basically obliterated all male lion competition over those years. Well, Gert, at the moment, I'll get onto the Mapochos towards the end, but in terms of the current prides we see regularly, this is a small breakaway from the main Styx pride we see. We see the Nkahuma pride probably the most out of all the lions. But then to the west on Arathusa, we often see the Tsalala breakaway pride, and also known as the Mangen pride. And apparently there's a small pride of sub-adults that are running around being very stressed at the moment, because the Majinga line, which is another male lion coalition further to the south, have killed most of the members of that pride, and they're just sort of flitting around in between everything at the moment. We also have and those are the majority of the female lion prides we see. There is always a chance we'll see the Torchwood pride coming from the east. I haven't seen them in the time I've been here, and also another pride called the Talamati pride coming in from the north and east. But I haven't seen those two prides in the last few months. Now if we go to the male lions, the dominant male lion coalition in our area here is called the Matimba males, and that is 2 males, and they are dominant over the Styx pride. They've been seen mating with Tsalala breakaway, and then Kahuma pride, and the Torchwood pride, and possibly the Talamati pride as well. As I said, I don't know much about Talamati and Torchwood. I haven't seen them before. That's the main male coalition. There's a couple of young and up-and-coming male coalitions that are still a bit young. You've got the Styx males, which is 2 males as well, that are getting to an age now where they'll start challenging the older males. There's also the Birmingham boys, as they are referred to, and that is 5 male lions, or 5 or 6, I'm not 100% sure, male lions who are to the north of us in the Manuleti, and they are also getting to it, and they do come down here occasionally, and they're also getting to an age where they might start trying to challenge the dominant male lions in the area. And being a coalition of 5, it bodes quite well for them to challenge. Obviously 5 is a nice big number that they can challenge quite easily. I had a lot to do with when I first started guiding in South Africa. The first place I was at, Singita, I saw them as quite young males, probably 4.5, and they still hadn't really started challenging any of the dominant males in that area, and they were moving around quite a lot. And then when I moved across to Londolozi, they were sort of approaching their prime, and there were five males, and they basically ruled from the western fence line through into the sort of middle or actually very close to the Kruger boundary, in the central sands, and then all the way north up into this area. And they were rampant. They wiped out entire prides when they came through. I mean, there was a Castleton pride, if I remember correctly, or Castleton pride. That was 9 or 10 lions when I'd last seen them at Singita, and in 2 years they were obliterated. There was, I think, one left, and they were sneaking around trying to avoid the Mapocho. But they did kill all members of that line. There was one member of that Mapocho coalition that became quite famous amongst the guides and trackers in the Sabi Sands. He was often referred to as Mr. T. He had a sort of mohawk like Mr. T from the A team, but amongst the trackers he was referred to as Satan. And that is because in a particular sighting, one of the older, they weren't all the same age, there was one slightly older Mapocho, was mating with an Ottawa 2 and 6 was the name of the pride, Ottawa 2 and 6 lioness. And that Mr. T arrived, chased off the other male, killed the lioness, mated with her corpse, and then ate her. So every tracker I knew and worked in that area was like, Satan, that guy is Satan. So, but they were actually deposed and killed by the Majingalan coalition, which is now the dominant coalition in those parts. They occasionally might come on to Arathusa, but it's right at the real edge of their boundary. So I hope that helps clear up what's happening with the lion dynamics at the moment. So there is possibly some interesting times ahead with these two younger coalitions starting to get to the age where they're going to start pressuring the older coalitions. Come on, girls. Time to go get something to eat. Hi, Crystal. Welcome on the Sunset Safari, Crystal. Crystal would like to know, how long would a lioness leave her cubs alone for? And at what age do they sort of start joining and following with the pride? Well, Crystal, I've known lions to often leave their cubs for up to 3 or 4 days. Unusual to be longer than that, but it is possible. But obviously those cubs will start getting quite malnourished after sort of 4 days without mom. So it's normally about 3 days, normally shorter, 2 to 3 days, but I have seen 4 or 5 days, and the cubs have survived. The age that the cubs are normally introduced to the pride and start moving with the pride, then they are still sometimes left at that age, but they can start moving with the pride from about 3 months old. So I hope that helps clear that up for you, Crystal. Thanks very much for your question. So guys, it's one of those catch-22 situations we're sitting now. We're the only vehicle with the lions. And even if we shot up to sort of go check around the treehouse waterhole or whatnot, there is a possibility as it's getting cooler that they might move or something might pop down at the dam or to the waterhole. So it's one of those catch-22 situations. But at the moment, I think we're quite comfortable sitting here. We'll let Scotty do the running around, and that's why it's so great being able to work as a team. Well done to Chris, Donna, Gert, and Diane. And a lot of other people also got it right, but those are the first 4 in. They got the question correct to that little water bird we saw a little bit earlier on the edge of the waterhole. It was a 3-banded plover. Hi, Julia from Houston. Welcome on Sunset Safari, Julia. Julia would like to know who won the bird contest. Well, I mean, Julia, not to brag or anything, but Andrew and I definitely dominated this morning. I think we did have a little unfair advantage. We were only looking for birds, and James was lucky enough to be looking at lions as well as birds. But we were lucky enough. And apparently I have to challenge Scott next, so maybe sometime next week we can see if that can be arranged. And maybe we'll see what happens. But hopefully we can keep that going. So that was lots of fun. We really enjoyed it as well. And definitely something we might do again. Maybe I should challenge Scott next week. We'll see. Well, speaking of Scott, I think we're going to stay with these lazy lions, and we're going to pop across to Scotty, see what he's been looking for. I think he's been searching long and hard for something large, but we'll see shortly. And have a great time with Scott, and we'll come back to you, and you can come back to us and the lazy lions a little later.
Welcome back, everyone, and perfect timing. We've just seen this Birchel's kukkel fly up, and what it's doing is it's hunting for little insects. And last time we actually saw this, it chased off a grasshopper straight towards the vehicle. It was an awesome sight, and let's just wait and see what he does here. I know it's very thick, but if he does pop back up onto this branch, he's so close that we'll get some great views. I keep saying he, it's not necessarily a male, just to correct myself. It could be a female. And they're quite ferocious carnivores, these. At this time of the year, they'll feed a lot on insects and smaller animals, but in the summer months when there's a lot of birds nesting, they'll predominantly prey on the chicks of birds, and that suits their style of hunting. They like to really dig through thick bushes, searching for prey, just as it's doing now. And where has it gone? It's just gone a little bit further forward. I'm just going to drive forward a tiny. Oh no, it hasn't. It's still in here, and I'm just going to wait. It could pop out onto a clear perch. And it's just so close to us that I don't want to miss this opportunity to share a great view of it with you. What to do. We'll creep forward a little bit. It seems very relaxed with us, surprisingly relaxed actually. There it is. You'll notice it has bright red eyes. And incredible how it actually ferrets its way through the undergrowth, looking for potential prey. It's a francolin that's just got a big fright that you would have heard, and hopefully a leopard won't be nearby, or won't be far away rather, and that's what chased the francolin, or it could simply be that the francolin has got a little bit excited. That's what you can hear. And will this Birchall's kukkel make a kill? Time will tell. It certainly looks very focused on whatever it is that it's looking for. I've once seen one of these birds flying out of a tree with 2 baby doves, one in each talon. So that gives you an idea of the range of prey they can feed on, from little grasshoppers that we saw them chasing last time I managed to share one with you, up to larger birds. It could hardly fly. It had so much cargo with those 2 little baby doves that the Birchall's kukkel was barely scraping the ground as it flew off. Well, we're going to leave the Birchall's kukkel to its own devices, and I'm not even sure where it's gone now. I've been so focused on the little monitor, and we're really fortunate in that Phil can zoom in so close to the animals out here. It's a privilege that the regular guests who come out here don't have. They either need to know how to use a pair of binoculars or just look at things with their own regular view. Well, that was a great sighting, and I hope you enjoyed that. Apologies, I forgot to update all of you about what happened with the vultures, and I did take a brief walk in that area but didn't have any luck. But now Phil has just spotted a whole lot more. Now this is going to get interesting, because that many vultures sitting in a tree, I can almost guarantee that something's there. Did those male lions kill a buffalo down there? I think they could have. It's going to be very tricky for us to get to that area, and I'm certainly going to try and take us there. So let's see what we can do. I know it's a very thick riverbed that we need to get through, but it is possible, and let's see what we can do. Awesome, well spotted, Phil. And like I said, the vultures that we saw perched in the one dead tree may have been considerably further away from the kill than these ones, but they were simply happy to wait in a comfortable place to perch themselves while they patiently wait for the predators to finish feeding, because they have to wait for the lions or whatever it is that's made the kill to finish feeding before going down to try and get a few morsels themselves. And I'm feeling quite confident that we are going to find something interesting down here. So hold tight, we're going to be doing some serious off-roading to get us down into there, but I know a way, and it's just up ahead here. So we've got a plan, and this is really exciting. I haven't managed to have the opportunity to respond to a vulture sighting like this with you before, so that's a first for me. And the reason why I know there's a little pathway that we can head down is because we've had a sighting in this area before, and And I just need to remember exactly where it was that I went down. I think in my excitement, here we go, this is the spot. And I know this can get us down into the riverbed because we found Kunyuma, a young male leopard. He had just killed the duiker. We were actually looking for him here, couldn't find him, and as we were driving out, we heard the duiker squeal. And we enjoyed a great sighting of him feeding on the duiker in this jackalberry tree just off to our right. So that tree up there on that branch under my finger is where Kunyuma had the duiker kill. And I know that we can squeeze our way down into the riverbed and take us to where we need to get to look for whatever these vultures are interested in. Hold tight, everyone. We really are so lucky to have these vehicles. It's incredible where they can take us. I actually heard one or two bushbuck alarm calls while we were watching the male giraffe earlier at the start of the drive. And maybe the bushbuck had stumbled upon whatever predator has killed whatever these vultures have all swooped down to try and cash in on. Well, like I said earlier, with vultures, the kill may not necessarily be underneath the tree where they are perched. They'll simply perch themselves in the closest dead tree to wherever the action is. Now that we've dropped down into the riverbed, I can't actually see the vultures, but I know they're going to be somewhere nearby. I think we did go slightly past them, so they should be somewhere up ahead of us. Okay. Just got a glimpse of them, so we're getting closer. Things are looking good. It's really beautiful down in here, and I hope you're all enjoying the little off-road adventure while we try and find out what has happened. I lost the male lion tracks just up on our left. They were heading kind of in this direction, and then their tracks disappeared off the road, and I couldn't see whether they went left or right off the road, but they could have come either way. And like I said, with all these vultures here, I'm confident that there's a large kill, and large kills are often made by large animals like two dominant male lions. How's our luck run out?
Right ahead of us in the tree.
Thanks, Phil. So the vultures are just ahead of us, but we need to try and find a little pathway through here. And it looks like there's one here. We are so close, so don't go anywhere. Whatever you're doing or we're planning on doing, stop, because we're about to reveal, I'm hoping, something very, very exciting. Thanks, Fawn. It's getting tricky in here, but we're going to make it. It's just going to require a little bit of weaving about. The tree in front of us is very, very thorny. and we don't want to get caught up on it. There's a lot of quite steep riverbeds here that are going to make it tricky for me to get through, but we're so close to them. I don't want you to go anywhere until we make our way just a few more meters across a little riverbed, but it's getting very steep here, so I'm going to have to reassess the route. I think this. Sorry? What I'm thinking, everyone, is because we have come to a dead end here, I'm not sure how long it's going to take me to find an easier path to cross, that we are sadly going to have to link back to Brent. I'd love to join you in on this, but I feel like I need to just concentrate on getting around to those vultures. They're just sitting up on our right-hand side here, so we're very close, but we can't get there with the vehicle there very easily. So you can see the vultures there, and we're going to give you an update in a few minutes. It shouldn't take us long to get across there. But in the meantime, over to Brent, and we'll hopefully have some good news for you in just a few moments.
Welcome back, everyone. We're playing round and round the mulberry bush with the lions. Just every time you come back, we try and get into a different spot. Really exciting. I hope Scotty gets something with those vultures. So fingers crossed that Scotty can find something. Hopefully the vultures have located something that is retired permanently. But we're still with these very, very lazy cats. Andrew is now trying to be very arty with the sun and the lions and the bush, but it is getting at the time that they did stretch a little bit, not much, but hopefully they will think about starting to move shortly. Looting Wimford. Kunyuma went back, huh? West. I mean, east. Okay. And look.
What happened from the backside?
I heard he's been in a fight. Big cut.
Yeah, but not getting inside. It's only from the skin.
Okay. Thanks, Orbs. So guys, I don't know if you heard that. There's a bit of an update on Kunyuma, who I think most of you will know, who've been watching a long time, is my favorite leopard. He was seen about 600 meters to the east of our boundary this morning, and it looks like he's been in a big fight. So possibly on his wonders, he's encountered a male who did not take too kindly to his presence in the territory, and he has been injured. Aubrey says it's a big cut, but it's not a deep one, so very superficial. So hopefully he'll recover from that quite quickly. I'm hoping he'll come back this side so we get a chance to see him and assess those injuries for ourselves. Beautiful shot, Andrew.
Thank you.
Hi, Heath, from Dayton's Children's Hospital in Ohio. Heath is 6 years old, and Heath has got a question for us here. Heath would like to know, are these two lions lost from their mommies and daddies? Well, Heath, both of these lions are big, and they're both possibly mommies. The one is definitely a mommy. The one's got three very small babies that she's hidden in a safe place a couple of miles from here, and she hides them there when she goes out hunting, and then she'll go back to feed them later. So they're not lost. They know exactly where they are. They are looking for some food, and then I'm quite sure they'll go back to the babies. Thanks very much for your question, Heath. So, lazy lions. Come on, time to get up, time to get busy. Hi, Grace from Dallas. Welcome on the Sunset Safari with the Styx lions and a setting sun. Grace would like to know, when these pride takeovers take place, do they happen at once, so the males will come in and kill all the members at once, or does it happen gradually? Grace, it completely depends also on the size of the pride, but normally it does happen over time that those animals will be killed. And it doesn't happen every time. So obviously the male lions don't want to kill all the females in the area, because they will want to mate with them at some point to sow their seed and get their genetics into the system. So it will just happen generally with females that are very unreceptive to mating. They could have had cubs recently, or they just don't like those lions. It's very difficult to say exactly why, but it's normally a gradual process of the pride being wiped out. It can happen if they catch them on a big kill or something, that it can happen immediately, and 3 or 4 will be killed at once, but then maybe it'll take some time for the others to be picked off. And also what happens is that also creates a vacuum, and other lionesses might move into that area, and they would also kill those remaining pride members if given the opportunity to. Very lazy lions. Oh. R2-D2's on fire this evening. Hi, Liberty. Welcome on the Sunset Safari, Liberty. Liberty would like to know, would lion, leopard, cheetah, or hyena take on a cub from the same breed or breed? Liberty, I'm not 100% sure what you're asking there, but I'm saying, well, with the pride of lions, if you have 2 females that have cubs at the same time or at a similar time, they will share the nursing, so she will let her cubs suckle, And so if the mother did die, there is a possibility she would take over the nursing of those cubs. With leopard, a very interesting question that with leopard. We'll come back to leopard because there's quite a long story attached to the leopard. With hyenas, definitely not. If the mother died or passed away, another hyena would not take on the cub. And what was the other one? Cheetah. Cheetah would only look after their actual cubs. They would not adopt. Now, as a norm, a leopard will never adopt another cub from another individual. But I was working in the south of the Sabi Sands, and we watched a very, very interesting thing. I was actually there, present at the sort of adoption. There was a female leopard we used to call 3-4. She was a very old leopard, and she had a daughter called the Dudley Riverbank female. And what happened is that Dudley Riverbank had 2 young male cubs. They weren't that young at that stage. They were probably close on 12, 13 months. Oh, looks like we've got some movement behind us, but I'll keep telling you about the leopard story. Oh, lots of movement. Stand up, sit down. So they were about 12 or 13 months old, possibly even a little bit older. My memory's getting a bit fuzzy. It's quite a few years ago. And what happened was that the mother and daughter met in a drainage line called the Tugwan drainage, and they basically, the one young male swapped over to his grandmother, and the other young male stayed with his mother. And that was the first ever recorded case of leopard adoption, as far as I'm aware. So, but they were already quite old. They weren't suckling at all. They were feeding on meat by that stage. But with adoption, that's the only case I know of with leopard. And as if I remember correctly, I read there was a paper published on it, and that is the only case of leopard adoption recorded in the wild. When it comes to adopting from another species, all of those animals, there have been lots of little clips that do the internet. I think there's quite a famous one from Kenya with a group of quite a big group of male cheetah, I think 4 or 5, and it looks like they adopted a baby Thompson's gazelle. They didn't. They were playing with it, and the very nice, cute video that does the rounds on the internet is all of them like looking after it and playing with it, and not very rough and whatnot. They did eat it though. And I've seen the case with a leopard and a vervet monkey, leopard and baboons. They kept the baby around for as long as nearly a day, the one case, but they did still eat it. I don't think it was adopting to look after the monkey. It was just playing like a cat plays with a mouse. Thank you very much for that question. Sorry, I'm just listening to R2D2 for a second. Hi, Ruth from Costa Rica. Are you sitting on the beach at the moment, Ruth? Beautiful country, Costa Rica. Amazing birding as well. But Ruth would like to know what would happen if the Styx lionesses had happened to meet the Nkahuma pride. Well, I think in this case, Ruth, there are only 2 Styx lionesses and there are 8 Nkahumas. It wouldn't be a very fair fight. And oh, look at this. Quickly, the Franklin are just meandering past the lions, paying no notice. Oh, crested Franklin. Oh. Oh, there's a lion there. Sorry about that, Ruth. As I said, if these guys happen to come across the Nkahumas or vice versa, the Nkahumas with 8 animals in there would be in a very big advantage. If they got hold of these lionesses, they would try to kill them, but more than likely, these lionesses would run away very quickly. Thanks very much for your question, Ruth, from Costa Rica. Okay, I think just going to wait for Orbs to move, and then we're going to move, so maybe we can see a bit of that grooming. I'm the only vehicle at the Lions now. That means I unfortunately have to turn up R2-D2 in case someone else wants to come here. But it looks like it's moving time. Hello, girls. So here I know we speak about it a lot, but here's this allo grooming, very, very important, this social grooming in lions.
Aubrey for Mike. Alright, Mike. Yeah, Orbs, what time and where are you having position up? Would like to come and join me, please?
Oh. So very important, this. Very nice grooming.
Okay, copy. Please hold it.
So you can't hear, I don't know if you can hear the licking. Let me just keep quiet for a second. Andrew says, unfortunately, we can't hear the licking with over the mic, but it's quite an interesting sound. Now imagine a lion's tongue is like a piece of sandpaper. If they had to lick my arm, it would take the skin off if they kept licking in the same place. So you imagine rubbing a piece of sandpaper on your body, and that's what a lion's tongue feels like. Another terribly tough day in the office today for us. I mean, this morning chasing birds, today spending a wonderful afternoon with lions, even though they have been sleeping. And here we can see a bit of defleeing going on. So that movement that they're doing there is to, oh, she stopped now, but hopefully she'll do it again. There we go. See that? She's not only flees, but also with the ticks. As she gets hold of a tick, we might even see some little blood spurts on the skin after that. And she's actually biting or killing the ticks that are on the other individual. Looks like copy, thanks very much, Orbs. So Aubrey just left and he said there are 2 warthogs heading our way from the other side of the dam. So hopefully they're up now and a little bit more aware. Pigeons. Now, the heads up, I'm not quite sure which direction those pigs are going to come from. As I said, we do often see warthog here, and there's that wonderful favourite.
From this side. I saw them move there.
Did you see them?
Yeah.
They're behind us.
Yeah.
Did they see the lions yet?
No, I don't think so.
But I think their hole is somewhere in this block behind us. No, I think they've spotted the lions. They're running. I can see them jogging through. Oh dear. Pays to be vigilant with your prey species out here. So, if any of you are new and you hear that clickety-click, clickety-click, that's just my camera. Taking a few pictures. Oh, big stretch. They're walking right up close to us. Don't move. So they're literally less than 2 feet away from Andrew on the back there. The one bit of bad news I've got is they're heading the wrong way, in my opinion. They're heading back towards our boundary. The Zingala are starting to get mobile. Big stretches, bit of scent marking going on. She's walking straight at the vehicle. You can see she takes almost and pays no attention to this vehicle. Don't go that way. That's a bad way. Come, go further west. Good girl. See, they're even listening to me today. So actually heading into the area where those warthogs ran off. For those of you who might have just logged in or are new, you're on a live African safari on the back of my vehicle following lions moving at sunset in Djuma Private Game Reserve in South Africa. We also are interactive. You can email us and ask us about what we're doing with questions. You can do that by emailing questions@wildearth.tv, or you can use the hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. Low range engaged, and we might, if they keep going in that westerly direction, they might head towards eventually Treehouse Waterhole. So that one lioness is displaying. Is she still doing it? Yes, there we go. There we go. Hello, girlies. So they are both quite hungry. Definitely now setting off on the hunt, and hopefully we're going to be able to stay with them while they're hunting. No, further west. Don't go south. So that wind's died down. So they've lost that little advantage that they had. But obviously they are still the apex predators around here. And I'm just going to try and get up ahead of them. So we're going to keep quiet and listen carefully. We might even hear their footsteps as they move through this dry bush. Isn't this incredible? Where's the second lioness? Still coming. This is quite good hunting area for them. So there's a lot of small scrub around, and hopefully for them they'll be able to spot something like a kudu or zebra or wildebeest before the prey species spots them. So there's quite a lot of good cover here. See what this lion's doing. It's called phlegmon, or the phlegmon reflex. She's probably smelling the urine of the other lioness, and what she does is she takes that scent over her. There's a small hole in the back of the mouth. We have them in our mouth. If you go that little hole in the top of your mouth, ours is now redundant. It's called the Jacobson's organ. Here we go, perfect there. So she's drawing the scent over that organ, and that is feeding her information. It's a form of communication with a lot of animals. You might have seen horses do it. The big cats also do it, and it's called phlegmon. So various information might be passed on through urine, age, whether they're coming to estrus or not. So specifically with male and females, it is quite important, and you'll see the males do it a lot more than the females normally. So quite typical lion behavior, to move and then lay down and stop for a little bit, but I think they are going to get up and move again. Oh, lazy kitties. So they walked a sum total, obviously watch my head, of about a sum total of about 100 meters, 150 maybe. So still a very still evening, not even a bird's chirping. She looks like she might have heard something. Nope. Lazy lions. So on average, lions will sleep for about 20 hours a day. And that's because of the way they're designed. They're designed for bouts of incredible speed, and they have huge latent energy, but they will run, and they'll only be able to keep up that speed for a very short time, and then they need to rest and recuperate before they're able to utilize that huge burst of energy again. Keeps looking like she might have heard something or smelt something, or not smelt, definitely heard or seen. Andrew, can you have a look over your shoulder, see if you can see anything down there? There you go. Oh, guys, we're going to cross across to Scotty quickly. He's got something that's quite interesting, something that we started on. Do you remember our first shot that we started on? It's something to do with that buffalo bad. So over to Scotty, and we'll stick with these cats. Hopefully they get up to something a little bit later, and we'll see you just now.
Well, sadly, no luck finding whatever it is those vultures were interested in. Perhaps they were simply overnighting in that dead tree, but it was very, very thick in there, so there is a chance that maybe the lion have made a kill, or something has made a kill, but we just couldn't find it. So a little bit frustrating, but it was really exciting. And now what a beautiful view of this herd of buffalo. They've just made their way up from the Djuma Dam, where you would have been able to see them on the Djuma waterhole. And they're all grazing together in a long line. There are there's about 25 of them, roughly. I just did a very vague count. But Phil cannot take you in for a closer tour of them. They're all really big old bulls. You could say that they are almost retirees, no longer interested in covering huge distances following the females and the large herds, which do cover great distances in order to find enough food for all the hungry mouths, as well as keep away from lion. Lion will often trail large herds of buffalo because the young calves and older mothers provide easier targets than these big old boys. And it sounds like you're having a wonderful afternoon with Brent and the two lionesses. And let's hope they get active and show us some of their hunting skills a little bit later. It would be very difficult for two lionesses to bring down an adult buffalo bull. I'm sure it's happened, but it's quite a large quarry for them. They would prefer smaller prey like impala or nyala and kudu. Bigger prides of lioness would be able to take these down, or big males, big male lions. This is one of their toughest prey items to take down, and very risky. They've got incredible power, and the horns can cause some fairly severe damage to lion if they're not careful. I once saw a lioness getting tossed into the air by a buffalo, and she did about 3 somersaults before she hit the ground. And that gives you an idea of just how powerful they are, tossing a 100+ kilogram animal, over 200 pounds, into the air as if it was a little rag doll. The wind is still fairly strong, but it has died down a little bit. and it's turned into a beautiful evening. There's an awesome glow on that eastern horizon that we are looking out to. Good evening, Donna. And Donna sent her question through on Twitter. Donna would like to know if these are all Dugger boys. And yes, Donna, they are. And for those of you who may not know what Dugger boys are, it's a term used to refer to old buffalo bulls. And there's a few different theories as to how that name came about, but Dugger is a name for cement in South Africa, and as you can see on this individual, it looks like it's almost caked in cement, and that is how they got their names. It's also got some mud on its horn. It couldn't have walked into frame at a better time, so that is why they are called Dugger boys, or cement boys, I guess, and it's just a strange name that's stuck for them. I can hear some impala alarm calling. It could simply be because of the end of the rutting season. And they do let off a part of their alarm call as they chase one another about. So I'm just trying to listen carefully now. No, this is sounding good. This is sounding like it's not just the rutting calls, so we're gonna head on up there quickly and try and have a look. Sorry, Buffalo. We'll try and have a look and see if we can find what this impala is shouting. All of these are completely relaxed, these impala that we're driving past now, but the alarm calls are coming from a little bit further on. It could very well be... Oh no, it's him. It's too late to be running around chasing, ladies. You've missed the boat. But that's who got me excited, and well done to Phil on following it through there. And in all likelihood, this impala just thinks that it's in charge of the herd, but there is no more mating going on now. It's a very short period that impala will mate in, and what that does is it ensures that they flood the markets with young, giving the predators only a very short window period to capitalize on small impala lambs. And that's the alarm call of an impala. Even though it's not alarm calling now, it's just shouting, probably out of frustration because none of these ladies want to mate with him. Okay, folks, well, it sounds like the lioness are slowly moving closer to our southern boundary, so I think it's going to certainly be worth crossing back to Brent and enjoying a few more moments with those lioness, and we'll see you all a bit later.
Welcome back, guys. Unfortunately, these lionesses are heading towards our boundary. We're very close. We're actually almost on the boundary now, and they're just off to the right of me here. They just laid down, but they were moving, so we came across quickly before. We thought they might jump across, but they've stopped again. But their general direction has been sort of south. So we're going to stay with them for as long as we possibly can. The wind's picking up, which will be good for them for hunting. can't see the second. Oh, there we go. I just can't see her from where I am. She's also lying down. Oh, there you are. But they are very, very close to the boundary. Very typical lion behavior. Get up, walk, lie down, get up, walk, lie down. Hi, Johan. Nice to hear from you. Oh, there we go. Sorry, the lines have come back together. Johan would like to know where's the rest of the pride. Just to let you guys know, Johan is a landowner, so we see him on Game Drive quite often out here. So nice to know he's keeping tabs even while he's not in the bush. Johan, this is the 2 Styx lionesses. So as far as I know, this is all of them for now. I'm just going to move quickly. And the Inkahumas have crossed into the Manureti this morning from the last I heard on Buffalo's Hook. But here we're with the 2 Styx lionesses, and we're on our southern boundary, probably about 200 meters to the west of the Twin Dam junction with Gowrie, Maine. So what I am hoping is that these lions are not going to walk straight across. They might go down the road for a little bit, and hopefully they find something. Thanks very much for your question, Johan. Nice to hear from you. Such beautiful animals. You can see those muscles. So if you guys are holding on tight, might go through a bit of a bump. I'm going to try and get ahead of them. Hi, Shanae. Welcome on the Sunset Safari. Shanae would like to know, do I think the male lions favor a particular pride of females over another pride, like a guy would favor a particular girl? Well, Shanae, I think with lions it's a little more base than that. I think they constantly patrol, but the most important thing is that they will be always checking to which pride's got a female and estrus. And I think then that will become their focus for that period of mating. Other than that, I think they move quite regularly between all the different prides because it covers their territory, and they're obviously trying to watch for interloping male lions. Oh, it's tired again already. So they're walking into the wind, which is quite good for them. The wind's picked up again. Keep checking behind me, see if there's... Sometimes we see a lone wildebeest in this area. She's doing a bit of scent marking. Letting all the other lions know that this is her spot. Hi Anna, welcome on the Sunset Safari. Anna would like to know, do we know how far away the cubs are from here? Anna, the last I heard, the den site that they're using is probably 1.5 kilometers or so from here. Maybe a little bit further, 2 kilometers. But in that drainage line, if we look past the lines, you can see how the road disappears into a low area. There's a dry riverbed there, and in that dry riverbed, probably 1 kilometer or so to the south of where we are now. All these corrugations giving us a nice bumpy ride. Sorry about that, Andrew. I can't really help the state of the road. And to find the smoothest spot to drive in. A bit better.
Maybe want to go back off when I use the zoom.
I got a feeling there's a road that cuts off to my west here. I thought they do this route quite often. Bye, lions. We'll take one last question from Sarah from New York before the lions disappear to the south. I had a feeling they use this route quite often, and she would like to know whether they are mother and daughter or sisters. As far as I'm aware, they are sisters, and they've broken away from the bigger Styx pride. They might come back onto the road behind us, I'm hoping, but it does look like the one is definitely crossed further into the property to the south of us. Hopefully they come back to the road. Come right, turn right. I was hoping they were going to walk up here and then head towards Weaver's Nest. Ooh, what's going on? Ears just picked up. No. Come on, come this way. Yay! Good girls. See, if they cross this parallel in front of us, they're going to head deeper into our traverse area. So go across the road. Across the road. Please. No, they're going to keep up the boundary by the looks of things. Andrew, you keep checking behind us, see if there's an impala or wildebeest. We see a lone wildebeest in this area quite often. Hi, Nigel. welcome on Sunset Safari. Nigel would like to know, what do I think the chances are of them rejoining the main pride, or is that unlikely now that they've got cubs? Well, Nigel, they've been away from the main pride for quite a long time. I think if they came into contact with the main pride, they might not fight, but they have been away for quite a long time. And I think a lot of those bonds have been severed. The bonds that are formed during that sort of social grooming we speak about so often. But I think it's unlikely. I don't think they would try and murder each other just yet. But in another year or two, and if this pride grows, it would definitely become very distinct from the original pride. Oh, lazy line. Lovely, soft, late afternoon light. So again, you see the lines. Walk a little bit, lie down a little bit. Walk a little bit, lie down a little bit. Not to say at certain times they can really just walk miles, but generally if they're hunting or moving, they will stop and start quite a lot. Hi, Carolyn from Texas. Carolyn's wondering about these short that look like side roads that cut off this main boundary road there. You can see one behind the lines. Those are not roads, Carolyn. Those are what we call mitre drains, and they are to stop erosion. So when it rains, obviously a road like this, a lot of the water will flow down, taking topsoil with it. So these drains are designed to take the water off the road so it doesn't erode into a sort of an erosion gully down here that you wouldn't be able to drive. So it's a maintenance function for the roads. Hope that sorts that out for you there, Karen. Those are mitre drains. And we are on the move again. Nope. Not very far. Sorry, R2's calling me. Go ahead, Mike.
Brent, are you gone
As for Mike, make your way. I'm the only vehicle here. They've now moved. Just keep coming on Gowrie Main, just to the west of Weaver's Nest Junction.
Copy on, and just coming past
Copy. Guys, we're going to cross across to Scotty, who's got something really beautiful to show you, and we're going to stick with these lions, and if they move again, we'll be right back. So have some fun with Scott.
Welcome back, everyone, and sorry to steal you away from Brent and the lioness, but we thought we'd take this moment while they lay down to show you an absolutely beautiful view out to the west. Those are the Drakensberg mountain range that you can see. And what an evening it is here in the Sabi Sands at Djuma. You may notice one or two lights at the foothills of that mountain range, and sadly the reserve doesn't make it all the way to those mountains, and that's why you can see some lights. Absolutely wonderful evening here, and so happy to hear that the lion came back after crossing south out of our property. They pleasantly surprised all of us by turning back. And I'm just going to keep quiet for a moment or two and we can listen to the sounds of the bush. It's fairly quiet now, but we never know what may call. Hyena or lion are likely to start calling at this stage of the evening, so let's see what happens. Now I can't share anything, and there may be a few factors. The animals aren't calling, obviously being one of them. And another is the wind. If anything was to call upwind from us, their sound would be blown towards us, but anything calling downwind from us, we won't be able to hear because the wind will be transporting that audio in the wrong direction. We're in a fairly open clearing here called Impala Plains, and it's one of the great vantage points we have out to the west. And we specifically came here to enjoy this view and share it with you for lack of better plans. On two accounts this afternoon, I found myself getting very excited. Initially for the vultures, and we didn't come up with anything there, but there's not to say that we may not find something there tomorrow. And then secondly, with the impala alarm calls, that was just an impala rutting, or getting frustrated by all those ladies who probably had wanted nothing to do with him. It sounds like the lions may be beginning to start moving again, so I think it makes sense for you to all jump on the back of Brent's vehicle now, and we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, guys. The girls have hardly moved. They're still lying on the road. Very, as I've been saying, very normal lions. Don't move too far before having a rest. I'm really hoping they decide to head north into our traverse area. We have found tracks of them quite a lot around Treehouse Waterhole, and I'm hoping they're going to start spending a bit more time, possibly a bit further north, especially when the cubs are a little bit older. So it's still a very still evening. The wind is picking up a bit. Good hunting weather. But they should probably try and move before that moon comes out and makes it a bit more difficult for them. Napping during prime time. You can hear that wind rustling. So if you hear a young lady chattering, if you guys can hear that, that is Mike and Candice and their daughter Kaylin from Juma, who've popped out that they don't have any guests on the vehicle. And isn't that a wonderful way to grow up? I know I grew up the same way, to be able to pop out with your folks and go look at some lions. There they are. And waving hello to everyone out there. So we're hoping Kaylin's going to be a great ambassador for wildlife, and that she grows up. Will have amazing experiences through her life living in a reserve like this. And lucky to have such cool parents.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers, guys. Have a good evening.
You too.
Hi, Cindy from Tennessee. Cindy says she notices the lions occasionally smelling a bush on the side of the road. What are they smelling? Are they smelling another animal's scent mark? And what would a leopard scent mark mean to the lions if they smelt it? Cindy, sorry, I just had to move the vehicle there for a second. Cindy, what it would mean is that, they're possibly smelling other lion scent marks. The male lions mark along this road quite frequently, and so do they. So they could be checking their scent marks, whether they should mark them again, or should they just move on. And if they do smell a leopard scent mark, they'll probably ignore it completely. Get the lights in the right place. How's that, Andrew?
Very good.
Perfect, thank you.
Open lane towards us and then.
R2D2's at it again. Any station on the east, copy? Just for your information, the two, I think, Styx Mafazis are lying up on Gari Main, about 100 meters to the west of the Weaver's Nest Junction. So about 500, 600 meters from the drainage line at Baboon Plant.
I got Brent, I'm on my way.
So we've been really spoiled spending so much time with these girls without too many other people around us today. They've all been off in search of leopards and elephants and things, and we were lucky enough to be able to spend our whole afternoon with these beautiful Styx lionesses. Hello. So they keep pretending to get moving, and I keep starting the car and getting ready to reverse up the road, and they move a meter or two. But that is lions for you. I definitely think they're going to hunt this evening, just judging from their stomachs. They might be waiting for it to get a bit darker, but they are not very hungry, but they definitely could do with a meal. Hi, Angela from Boston. Angela would like to know, do these cats ever get annoyed with the constant vehicles following them? Angela, if you drive badly, yes, of course they'll get annoyed. You'll notice quite often we don't drive at them, we drive at oblique angles. Also, these particular lions and most of the animals here in the Sabi Sands have grown up with vehicles, so they don't really see them as a threat or whatnot. But animals can get annoyed with vehicles if you push boundaries and you don't read the behavior that they're telling you. And she says it looks very close, and it is. Angela, I mean, at the moment they're probably about 8 to 9 feet from the front of the car, but at times today they've been less than 2 feet. One had a good look at Andrew and was about 1.5 feet away from him, and he looked a little scared, I won't lie. He did.
I was scared.
There we go, he was. And the lions have that amazing way of sort of looking through you, that 1,000-yard stare. But they do and can get annoyed, Angela. But as you can see, these two ladies are very relaxed and completely almost ignoring our presence. And obviously we try our best to be as little interference as possible when we are following them. Oh, she heard something. Or smelt something. The wind is coming right down towards her. Still an incredibly still evening. With this wind, I'm not even hearing any of the nocturnal bird species, little owlets and owls and nightjars.
Ryan, right? Wat voor is dat? Ik ben een wonderlijke bumper. Ik ben maar too dungo. Damn, nice. That's nice down there.
Hi, Daniel. Welcome on the Sunset Safari, Daniel. Daniel would like to know what is the most rare animal I've seen since starting these live safari drives. Daniel, it would possibly be, well, in this area, the most rare animal I've seen is a serval cat, which is one of the small cats. And as far as I know, only in the whole history of the live drives, there's only been one other one seen, and it was dead, killed by a female leopard called Shadow. But we managed to see a live serval kitten about 2 weeks ago, which I was incredibly excited about. I literally started vibrating in my seat. I was so excited. But that's probably the rarest animal I've seen since I've been doing the live drives. Come on, ladies, let's go look for something to the west. Valerie, welcome on the Sunset Safari. Valerie would like to know if I've ever seen an altercation between a lion and a leopard where the leopard won. Never with adults, Valerie. I've seen, not between adult lions and adult leopards, but I have seen male leopard kill lion cubs that were left in a thicket to be left hidden in a thicket, and a male leopard happened to find them, and he killed all three of the cubs. That is the only time I've seen the leopard sort of get one up on the lions. With two adults, even a single adult lion is so much stronger than even the biggest male leopard. I've personally never seen an altercation where a leopard has won. Don't like where they're looking. Oh, thank goodness. Hi, Jeannie. Welcome on the Sunset Safari. Jeannie would like to know whether a lion can scent or smell human fear. I personally don't believe so, Jeannie. I think they react on body language and movement and mannerisms. They don't react on fear. So if you run away, then therefore they will think that they can eat you. If you stand your ground, then they generally won't try to eat you. They might charge you and stuff, but normally they won't. I don't think they can smell fear at all. To be honest, I don't think any animals can. I think they read the same way I try to read a lion or elephant's body language, what it's doing. I think they react to how something reacts to them. Hi, Sue from North Carolina. Sue is asking what protection I might have if the lions got really irritated and decided to come at me. Well, Sue, I've got protection, which is probably not the type of protection you are thinking it would be. My protection is my years in the bush and my experience. If I happen to do something silly and get the lions a bit upset, no, girls, going the wrong way. Oh, they're disappearing off to the south now. That's unfortunate for us. We can't follow them through there. That's out of our Travis area. But, sorry, Sue, back to your question. So what we have for protection against lions is experience. So if they were to get very irritated if we did something silly and they were to attack us, what we would do, if I was in a vehicle, what I would do is I would shout at them, and I'd bang the side of the car quite loudly to try deter them on foot. I would stand still and still shout at them, but I've never felt the need to try shoot a lion yet, and I don't think I'm going to start now. So guys, as these lions disappear off to the south of us, it's been a fantastic sunset safari. And thanks very much for joining us. From Andrew and myself here on the Jigger, it's been a great day, and we won the bird competition this morning. So it's been wonderful having all of you on the back of the vehicle with us, and we can't wait to get up and do it again for the sunrise safari tomorrow. So please be sure to join us. If there have been any new viewers, really welcome. We do appreciate it. And all the questions you guys send makes our life a little bit easier, finding things to talk about. So we do appreciate the questions. And so from us here on Jigger, we're going to hand you over to Scott, see what he's been up to for the last few minutes of drive, and we'll catch up with you bright and early on the sunrise safari. Also, just one last thing, we have a new presenter trying out tomorrow, so don't get a fright if you don't see one of your familiar faces on the vehicle. Good night, everyone. Okay.
Welcome back, everyone, and it sounds like you've had an absolutely epic sighting of those two lionesses pacing down the road towards you, and I'm so happy about that. And sadly though, the sunset safari has drawn to a close, and as always, so much fun and excitement. As I mentioned earlier, I got a bit carried away with the vultures we saw earlier. I was convinced there was going to be a kill there, but we couldn't find anything. But that's how it goes, and certainly tomorrow morning we'll have a closer look there. There could still be something there that we couldn't find in the thick bush, and I'm hoping a leopard's going to pop out on the sunrise safari. It's been a while, and I think we're overdue for a leopard sighting. Regardless of what we see though, I'm looking forward to it already. And don't forget, Byron's going to be doing his drive tomorrow morning as well as tomorrow afternoon, so be sure to tune in and enjoy what he has to offer. It's always great to see different guide styles and techniques. And from myself and Phil on camera, thanks again, Phil, for your work, and thanks to Nikki and Eugene in Final Control. We'll see you all tomorrow.